A bipartisan bill has been introduced in Congress. It's a bipartisan bill introduced by Senator Cornyn and Senator Sinema. So you got a Republican and a Democrat. They introduce a bill that is designed to blunt the southern border crisis, which, of course, this administration doesn't want to call a crisis.
The two main things that we expect this legislation to do, Jay, would be to authorize resources to address the surge capacity that is happening at the border right now, and then also to sort of reinstate a Trump-era policy on asylum, which we actually worked very closely on, to make sure that the proper people that were applying for asylum were not only allowed in, but that their cases were adjudicated in a timely manner. Jay, and I just think on a top-level issue, it shows that if the White House were willing to engage across party lines, there would be bipartisan participation in the Senate. But we've got to get that signal from the White House.
This legislation is being introduced when? Today?
It's supposed to be introduced today. We should have a look at it. Hopefully by tomorrow, Jay, we can have some
Any indication
specifics
from
on
the
it.
White House where they're going to stand on it?
I've not heard a word.
It's numbing to me. I don't understand the resistance, Wes, on the ability of the administration to engage on bipartisan legislation here. I mean, what is there to lose at this point?
The beginning of insanity, the beginning of mental illness is to break from reality, to deny reality. If you wonder why so many of the Biden's policies concerning the border seem insane to the average American, it's because they are breaking from the reality of what's happening on the border. This is a true crisis. And last Saturday, when the president slipped up and called it a crisis, here's what the White House said later on to walk it back. The crisis, they said, is in Central America, not at the border.
There's obviously some method or some approach they're taking that they think this is actually a good thing by denying the reality of the situation.
The more liberal-leaning outlets or social media platforms don't show it. It's not happening. And that's just sadly the truth right now. It's not that it's not happening. It's that it fits the narrative, because if people won't cover it, you won't see it. So if they ignore it, it's effectively as if it's not happening.
One of the problems that we have is that there's a border largely almost completed in California. So a lot of the California politicians are not concerned about the border crisis because it seems to be happening more in Texas. And you ask yourself, why is Nancy Pelosi, a Californian, disinterested? Is because she's protected largely. This is a problem for Texas, and it's got to be solved. But you're not going to get help from California politicians because they've got theirs. They've got their border.
They're intentionally ignoring what's happening, so much so that they refuse to actually visit. They refuse to use specific words because they decide that that's the narrative they want to spend to specifically, it subverts people with this whole, will they say crisis? Will they not say crisis? Because all that does is take the attention away of really what's happening, which is a nightmare.
This affects all 50 states because that's just the entry point for the distribution. You could put drugs in it. You could put sex trafficking in it. All of it. Human trafficking. It's all in there.
These become problems nationwide. Why? Because media outlets like TikTok that solicit coyotes and solicit young men and young women to carry these drugs and to solicit and to spread them throughout the United States is real.
What the drug cartels are doing, they are going on TikTok, recruiting American teenagers who live in that part of the United States to go to the edge of the border and to pick up illegal immigrants and to take them to stash houses. They are offering on TikTok as much as $3,000 a trip, so that what is happening is not just that they're offering. American teenagers have actually done this. Some parents have been dismayed to find out that their teenage daughter has been arrested for transporting migrants trying to earn $3,000 a trip.
This is not in one day or 1 week. This is just in a couple of stops at the border. More than $4 million worth of methamphetamine. One shipment deemed a fresh produce. More than $97 worth of fentanyl and meth during one traffic stop. More than $275,000 worth of cocaine during one traffic stop. Nearly $200,000 in meth alone during single traffic stop.
Most of the people that I have prosecuted had criminal records as juveniles. They started out in criminal communities and criminal enterprises, and it was mostly in the area of drugs.
You have to go to the scene of the crime. I mean, this is as old as Law 101. I used to call it, when we were handling cases internationally, sometimes you just had to show up. Ministry of Presence, you have to be there.